We've got, of course, the College Football Hall of Fame. And 3 candidates for Miami is announced this week. Ken Dorsey. Then we also have Jonathan Vilma. And on the sideline, Larry Coker. So I have a few thoughts concerning, but of course, yours are more valuable. So we'll start with you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's great that all 3 of them are nominated. Ken Dorsey, the quarterback of the best, team of all time, 38-2, should have been 1 because we got cheated, but whatever. As a starting quarterback, in terms of college performance, you would be hard pressed to find somebody better. Like all of these times that Miami's been stumbling and struggling through whatever jabroni is at quarterback, respectfully, relatively over the last 25 years. Like you and I have talked about, okay, is this the best quarterback since Ken Dorsey? And if not, then who? Like he's the standard in modern Miami Hurricanes football history at quarterback. In terms of, now I know wins are not a quarterback stat, but what he helped that team to do. And also his individual performance. He's a top 5 finisher in the Heisman Trophy, things like that. So great to see that for him. John Vilma, my freshman brother in the year 2000, incredible player, incredible guy. And I know that he had the success in the NFL that Ken Dorsey didn't. But yeah, as a college player, even from his freshman year, right away, number 51 was known as an incredible linebacker. So, great for him. And then because he happened to be the head coach of the best team ever, Larry Coker, he had, obviously he was already in his 60s by the time that he finally got his first head coaching job, which was the, 2001 Miami Hurricanes, which is crazy. But yeah, a long and storied history, and career for him at a lot of different places in the world of college football. But I mean, like, let's be real, like he's here because I'm wearing the Perfect Storm 2001 home field merch shirt. Not a sponsor, could be, but you can get this very shirt, look, I'm wearing the shirt for 01 for a reason today, guys. Like, and all 3 of these gentlemen played influential, if not determinative roles for that team. And so, based upon that, and then the breadth of whatever else they did, in the world of college football, all of them being, finalists for the College Football Hall of Fame is great. I think that they should get in. I'm not sure all of them are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers, but I do believe that all of them have a place there, just because, again, of the excellence that they had. And, oh, Lord, Falconer, I'm going to get to that. I'm looking at the chat as it goes. All of that being said, it is incumbent upon me to mention the travesty that it is that Howard Schnellenberger is not in the College Football Hall of Fame, nor eligible because he didn't have a 600% winning percentage. And they lowered it to 595 specifically because Mike Leach, God rest his soul, has a 596 winning percentage, and Mike Leach can now get in. I'm not casting aspersions about Mike Leach, who wanted the Miami job, and he's a larger than life character. He's a weird dude here, so I'm saying that with affection. The swashbuckling pirate, and he's always running these, famously 4 verticals, and he called the play 6 like his mentor Hal Mummy did. And we're throwing the ball around and we're doing things differently, and I'm just a different kind of dude, and good for him. And I believe that Mike Leach should be in the Hall of Fame. But as a Miami person, it is a travesty that you have moved the goalposts for Mike Leach and someone who is more foundational to the history of college football, being one of, if not the leading force of pushing the sport into the modern current era and iteration of it, is nowhere to be found, and no one is sticking up for him. And I saw Bruce Feldman tweeted out, when they the College Football Hall of Fame committee lowered the winning percentage to 595 specifically for Mike Leach, and like they said that, like the the Hall of Fame committee said this was for him. Again, great, do that, and he has a spot there. But to ignore it, to continue to have Howard Schnellenberger outside because he took teams that when he got there were pretty terrible and built them up. The University of Miami also ran, dumpster juice, and now is the 5-time national championship legacy program because of him. Louisville, same thing. Even though they haven't won the championships, he still elevated them exponentially. FAU didn't even have football until Howard Schnellenberger. And you're telling me that man is not ever eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame? It is a travesty to what that man did and his everlasting memory, because he has shuttled loose this mortal coil for Howard Schnellenberger not to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. And look, again, Mike Leach should be there, and congratulations that they have, changed the standard so that he can be placed there where he rightfully earned his spot, and in this era had that impact. I do not want to take away from that. However, the same or more is there for Howard Schnellenberger, and they have continued to pay that legendary man dust for years, and I'm tired of it.
So there's been at least 3 or 4 times that Cam has went on the same rant in previous years when the College Football Hall of Fame voting has been on the docket. And this has even moved me to produce videos standing up for Howard Schnellenberger. I am a firm believer in numbers, metrics, facts. All those things are the core, the basis from which you then make determinations. You don't just 60%, that's it. That's the end of the discussion. No, I'm not a big believer, unless you're dealing with 5-year-olds. If you're dealing with 5-year-olds, then you implement rules. If you're dealing with adults and adult situations, then you deal with guidelines. Yes, absolutely. You look at statistics, but I do not believe, other than a tenure limit or a tenure requirement in Major League Baseball, in pro football, other than that, there's not, you got to have 10,000 yards rushing to be in the Hall of Fame as a running back. You got to have that, because we should all understand that you've got to look at the context of the situation. Mm-hmm. And the mere fact that they had to lower the bar to 595 should give them indication that, why don't we just get rid of this? We can make 60% a guideline, like, okay, let's look at this first, and then we'll go from there. 60% winning percentage, if you go into a really good football program and you chug along at 7-5 every year, and then throw in a couple 8-4s to nudge yourself over 60%, have you really performed at a Hall of Fame?
According to the College Football Hall of Fame advisory panel or board of directors, they would say yes. And again, it's just, you can have the guidelines, but then you say, okay, cool, he didn't hit that guideline that we have. Let's look at the other things, and look, we talk about roster building. We talk about, just college in general. They have guidelines for admission to college, like you can hit the numbers. I will be very transparent. I hit and exceeded all of the numbers at Northwestern, didn't get in. At Washington and St. Louis, I was a top 3 finalist for a prestigious presidential scholarship. It was me and 2 other people. And then I didn't get into that university. And I'm like, well, if my credentials are the numbers on paper and everything, they said, well, we made a different decision. We took everything in and we da-da-da-da-da. Cool. And I'm one of my very good friends from college. He was like, hey, I have ADD. I was not really challenged in high school. I didn't do well, and he showed me the essay that he wrote. Because his father was in the military, and it was this whole thing about moving around and like his dog and like just the ties that bind people together and all kinds of stuff like that. And he was like, I wrote this incredible essay and got it everywhere and didn't have anywhere near. So I say all that to say that even in that realm, there are guidelines. Now, some are firm and final of, okay, if you didn't have, whatever, but like there's some that are, just negligible along the way. And I believe, again, when you have all of this other context, the 600% winning percentage or 595 that's been made to in the guise of Howard Schnellenberger's case for the College Football Hall of Fame should be more guideline than firm and final item that is disqualifying. Again, when you have now made the decision to change the standard for someone. And I just, yeah. I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, look, congratulations to Ken Dorsey and to Larry Coker and to Jonathan Vilma. And I expect 2, if not all 3, to be first ballot Hall of Famers this year. I do not want to take away from what they have earned. I don't want to take away from any of the other things, but this is the show and this is my platform. And yes, every year, I'm sorry, I'm going to continue to say this. And we've written it on State of the U. Former managing editor, Lieutenant Philip Nolan, he got to interview, and that's crazy because I remembered to say his pen name and not his real name. You are welcome, Lieutenant Philip Nolan. But he got to interview Coach Schnellenberger back in the day before I joined up with the website. So that's up there. And like we as the outlet or entity of State of the U has been on this for a long time. And myself personally, I've also been on this. I'm going to continue to say it. So congratulations to those who are going to be the next wave of Hurricanes going into the College Football Hall of Fame, because I expect them, again, 2, if not all 3, to be in this class, and great on them, and that is well-deserved. But at the same time, it is like the College Football Hall of Fame lacks legitimacy in its entirety to me if Howard Schnellenberger is not inside. I'm just going to keep it a buck.
So what happens in 10 years if another situation comes down the pike? And this particular coach has a 592 winning percentage, but everyone believes
588, 589. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
but
my goodness.
I mean, look, it just, yeah, exactly. And
I'm not going to take away from Larry Coker. I believe that I could to a certain extent. Again, he was the next guy up after Butch Davis and fell into the perfect situation. But hey, he steered it in the right direction, and they were the greatest team of all time, and then followed up with another remarkable season. So he had a great 2 to 4 year run.
I mean, look, his first 5 years, he won 9 games, then 7 games in his 6th year, and then, got fired. And then went to UTSA, 8, 7, 4, and 3. But to your point, he coached more than 10 years and has a 2/3 winning percentage. So it's over 600.
And do you believe if we polled knowledgeable college football pundits and asked them who was a better football coach, head football coach, Howard Schnellenberger or Larry Coker,
they would laugh you out of the room for asking that?
Exactly.
No, I hear you. We're speaking the same language. I get it. But again, congratulations to Vilma and Coker and Dorsey. Those guys are great, and I enjoyed seeing them do their thing when I was there in 2000 and beyond, my whole entire time, but especially 2001. And yeah, so yeah, there's that. I mean, it's great for them. Howard Schnellenberger should be in there. The College Football Hall of Fame Society, board of directors, whomever, needs to get their heads out of their keisters. This period. Because, and like, again, I'm not even asking for, the offensive coordinator from the University of Michigan in 1997 when they won the national championship. I'm not, or like Mike DeBoard. Like, I'm not even saying like, okay, it has to be him. I'm not like, we're not going down into just saying, well, my cousin played at North Park University, and his linebackers coach was there for 17 years. And no, we're talking about Howard Schnellenberger. The name holds weight. The man's accomplishments are beyond reproach, and it is far past time that he be enshrined in the College Football Hall of Fame. And I'm going to stop talking myself in circles because I think I've made my point very clear.
The NFL comparison that I come up with is Tom Landry took over the Dallas Cowboys when they were an expansion franchise. And back then, it was not like you have an expansion franchise, therefore we're going to give you all these supplemental draft picks and we're going to give you a lift. He basically is fielding factory workers and guys that worked at grocery stores. And so for 5 consecutive years, his record was horrendous. He went 0-11 his first year. Well, he eventually turned out to be one of the greatest coaches of all time, went to 5 Super Bowls, but that's the situation Howard Schnellenberger was in at Miami. And then Louisville, they were an established program, but they had 5 consecutive losing seasons before he arrived, and they instantly won, and they were beating Alabama in a Fiesta Bowl like 2 or 3 years later.
Right. It took a little bit longer for them to start winning at Louisville, but still, they were among the worst teams in America.
And then, of course, he had another startup at FAU, and you're not going to have a good record at the beginning of a football